Michael climbed onto the bridge railing and closed his eyes. He held his breath like someone awaiting the impact. It was the end. For him, for his bankrupt company, for the pain he had carried since his son's death. But before he could let go, a child's voice broke the silence. "If you jump, who's going to give me the rest of your sandwich tomorrow?" He turned his face, confused. On the sidewalk, a dirty barefoot boy with a sack of cans over his shoulder stared at him like it was the most normal thing in the world. If this story has already touched you just in the beginning, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the most surprising ending you'll hear today. Michael still had one foot on the ledge when he heard again, "The chicken one with mayo. Remember? I ate half. You left it in the station trash last week." The businessman slowly stepped down from the railing, his face pale, hands trembling. "How did you know? I see you all the time. You just never saw me." The boy shrugged and started walking away like nothing had happened. Michael hesitated, looking at the dark river below and then back at that kid. It was like reality had slapped him in the face. "Wait!" he shouted. Jamie stopped, turned slowly, wide-eyed. I just wanted to know your name." "Jamie. Do you have a place to sleep? When it doesn't rain?" Michael did the unthinkable. He took out his wallet, then put it back. Took a deep breath. "Come with me. It's not far." Jamie hesitated, suspicious, but hunger and cold won. They walked side by side. The silence between them was strange but not uncomfortable. Michael couldn't stop looking at the boy, his injured hands, his eyes far too alert for someone so young. When they reached the luxury building, Jamie stopped on the sidewalk. "Is this for real? You saved me. I think it's the least I can do." They went in. The doorman widened his eyes, but Michael just nodded firmly. In the elevator, Jamie ran his hand over the mirror like someone checking if they were dreaming. Michael watched with a strange déjà vu feeling. He once had a son with curious eyes like that, but now wasn't the time to remember. It still hurt too much. In the apartment, Jamie stopped at the living room door, unsure of where to step. White rugs, expensive paintings, heavy silence. Michael threw the keys on the counter and sighed. "Are you hungry?" Jamie nodded. Michael made 2 plates. Simple pasta, nothing fancy. They sat at the table. Jamie devoured the food like it was his last. "How long have you been living like this?" "Since I was 10. My mom died. My dad vanished." "And how old are you now?" 12, I think." Silence. Michael gripped the fork tightly. "I had a son. His name was Connor." Jamie stopped chewing. "And where is he?" "He died 3 years ago." Jamie didn't respond, just went back to eating. Michael noticed that, for the first time in a long time, there was someone there who didn't look at him with pity or flattery. He just listened, just existed. That shattered something inside him. Hours later, Jamie was asleep on the couch, wrapped in a soft blanket. Michael watched him for a while, then went to his office, opened the laptop. Over 50 unread emails, debts, warnings, a canceled meeting, just disaster. But something inside him was different. A seed, a crack in the armor, and that crack had a name. The next morning, Jamie woke up startled, as if fearing everything had been a dream, but the smell of coffee and warm bread led him to the kitchen. Michael was there, shirt unbuttoned, tie tossed aside. "Good morning." Jamie sat down without saying a word, began to eat. "I thought of something," Michael said. "How about a deal?" "What kind?" "You can stay here for a week. Shower, bed, food. In exchange, you help me understand what's wrong with me." Jamie frowned. "You're crazy?" "Maybe, but you saved me yesterday, and I think you have something none of my advisors do." "Hunger?" "Eyes. You see things," Jamie thought, then bit the bread and nodded. "Deal." Michael laughed for the first time in months. Over the next few days, something unlikely began to build. Michael took Jamie to work, hidden in the back seat. The boy observed everything with the attention of someone who survives by reading signs. And suddenly he started asking uncomfortable questions. Why did that guy yell at the receptionist? Does that truck always take the same route? Why doesn't anyone reply to your emails? Michael realized the boy saw beyond appearances. He started jotting down the comments. And little by little, those simple observations began revealing flaws, logistical, human, emotional. Jamie had a raw but clear vision. "Did you know there's a guy stealing stuff from your warehouse?" he asked one day. "What?" "I saw it. He passes by the shelter's corner every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Your company's logo is on the back of the truck. Then he unloads everything in a dark warehouse. No branding." Michael widened his eyes. "Are you sure? I live on the street. All I have is certainty." That night, Michael couldn't sleep. Something was about to change. And it all began when he gave up dying, because a boy with hunger and courage made him remember there were still things worth fixing. Michael spent the next 2 days with his phone in hand and eyes on the clock. Every Wednesday, 11 p.m., he monitored the fleet logs. Everything seemed normal, until he decided to follow one of the trucks himself, silently. He parked his car a few meters from the warehouse Jamie had mentioned. There it was. The same company truck, unloading boxes at a side entrance with no signage. 2 hooded figures took turns stacking the bundles and lighting cheap cigarettes. Michael filmed everything. He was shaking. It wasn't just anger, it was shame. This had been going on for months and no one on the board had noticed. No report, no auditor, no one. Just a street kid. The next day, he called an emergency meeting. Jamie stayed in the next room, listening closely behind the slightly open door. He saw uneasy executives, raised voices, eyes avoiding each other. 3 employees were terminated that same day, including the logistics supervisor. On the way home, Michael was different, less tense, more alive. "You showed me something no one else could," he told the boy. Jamie just shrugged. "I just saw. That's what I do to survive. I observe who has and who pretends to have. That's more than survival, Jamie." "It is? It's talent." The boy laughed with his mouth full of cereal. For the first time, a real laugh. In the following days, Michael wanted to know more. About the streets, about Jamie's mother, about what he did when no one was watching. "I used to sleep near bakeries. There's always leftover bread, you know? And the cold? We find a way. One day a guy gave me a blanket. Another day they beat me up for it. Then I learned to sleep on top of it, never under. That way they don't take it back." Michael swallowed hard. "You don't deserve that." "I do. I just don't want it anymore." Silence. That night, Michael entered his son's room. It was untouched, as if Connor would walk in from school at any moment. On the nightstand, a photo. Connor, about 8 years old, smiling at a science fair. Michael caressed the frame with his fingers, cried silently. The next morning, he took Jamie to a clothing store. "Pick whatever you want. I don't know what matches. It matches you. Pick what makes you feel good." Jamie picked a navy blue hoodie, new sneakers, and a backpack. When he stepped out of the fitting room, Michael looked at him with a mix of pride and awe. Jamie looked like someone else, but the eyes were the same. Alert, steady, as if they had seen too much. They went back home with bags, laughter, and a lighter kind of silence. Jamie ran off to try everything on again. Michael opened a bottle of wine. He felt something bubbling inside. It wasn't guilt. It was hope, fragile, but alive. Later that night, they met in the living room. Michael held an old notebook. This belonged to Connor. He loved drawing maps. He created imaginary routes, escape paths from home, secret worlds. "I do that too," said Jamie, excited. "But mine are real." He ran to his backpack, pulled out a dirty, worn notebook, opened it and showed pages covered in rough sketches of streets, trash bins, bakeries, hotspots, and safe zones. A true survival system. "Here's where you can grab fruit without being seen. Here's where there's a camera. Here, if the alarm goes off, it takes 7 minutes for someone to show up." Michael was speechless. "That's pure intelligence, Jamie. Do you understand that?" The boy smiled shyly. For the first time, maybe he did. The next morning, Michael called Rebecca, his project manager. "I need a favor. I want an accelerated literacy plan. Private lessons, every day, at home, with someone patient." "For whom?" "A promising analyst I just hired." Jamie laughed when he heard, thought it was a joke. But that afternoon, a teacher named Claire showed up at the door with a foldable whiteboard and a gentle smile. She was a woman in her 50s with a soft voice and firm gaze. "So you're the street genius." I just look at things." "Great. Now you'll learn to write about them." Class began. A, E, I, O, U. Jamie struggled, but he didn't give up. Michael watched from behind the door, barely believing. It was like witnessing a miracle in slow motion. On the 6th lesson, Jamie managed to write his own name in crooked letters. Michael framed the sheet and placed it next to his son's old trophy. "You're kidding, right? I'm honoring you." Jamie smiled, eyes watering. But on the 7th day, he disappeared. They woke up and the couch was empty. Nothing in the backpack, not even a note. Michael searched the city, went to the shelter, the alleys, the stations, nothing. On the 3rd night, he found a sheet at the front desk. It was the one with Jamie's name, except now it had one more line. "Thank you for seeing me." Michael broke down. For days, he walked with his head low, silent, at work, mechanical, at home, absent. Connor's room felt even quieter, until one rainy morning, someone rang the doorbell. When he opened the door, he found Jamie, wet, dirty, but with steady eyes. "I tried, but out there I'm just a mistake." Michael said nothing. He simply knelt, hugged him, and replied, "Here, you're my chance to get it right." Jamie came back to live with Michael, but something had changed. It was no longer a temporary shelter, it was home. Every day, his look stopped being that of a survivor and began to transform into that of someone who dreams. Still scared, still with scars, but different. Claire continued with the lessons. Now Jamie wrote simple sentences and read small passages aloud. He liked words. He said they felt like tools he never knew existed, and he used each one with the care of someone who knows the value of expressing himself. At the company, Michael walked through the hallways with a presence that hadn't been seen in years. Employees noticed. Some said it was the new project. Others thought he was in love. But no one knew the truth. There was a 12-year-old boy changing the way that man saw the world. One day, Michael presented a new idea to the board. A logistics tracking system based on optimized routes that Jamie had drawn in his notebook. Yes, that same one, scribbled with a worn pen and creased edges. "This is child's play," commented one of the directors. Michael looked at him firmly. "Exactly. From a child who saw what you ignored." The silence in the room was complete. And for the first time, Jamie walked through the company's front door with a temporary badge hanging from his neck, a loose dress shirt, and a subtle smile. "I'm the boss's spy intern," he joked. Everyone laughed, but deep down, they knew he had something that few of them had. Clear vision. No biases. No cynicism. Michael took him to meetings. He watched as Jamie paid attention to the smallest details. Who yawned, who squeezed their pen while talking, who lied. One day he whispered in Michael's ear during a presentation, "This guy doesn't believe in what he's selling. He talks beautifully, but his eyes, they're lying." Michael dismissed the supplier the following week and avoided a multi-million-dollar loss. Then a bigger idea emerged, a social inclusion program based on Jamie's story. Michael presented the proposal to the local press, hesitant but also proud. He's not a charity case. He's proof that talents are hidden where no one wants to look. The article appeared in the Sunday newspaper with the headline, "From Street Boy to Strategic Mind, How Jamie is Transforming a $1 million Company." The company's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Invitations for talks, partnerships, social impact campaigns. Michael declined almost all of them. He didn't want Jamie to become a marketing mascot. But Jamie wanted to speak. He wanted to show other boys like him that there was a way out, even when everything said otherwise. "I'm not special," he said in a video recorded for an NGO. "I just got seen at the right moment, and no one should have to almost die to be noticed." The video went viral, but the sudden success brought something Michael feared: exposure. One day he received a call from social services. They wanted to understand Jamie's legal situation. Initially, Michael cooperated. But days later, he received an alert. Jamie's biological father had been located. He was serving time for theft but had expressed interest in regaining rights. Jamie heard everything from a distance. He didn't react. But that night, he didn't have dinner. He stayed in the dark room with the notebook on his lap. "I don't want to go back. I don't even know him. He only used to beat me." "You're not going anywhere," Michael answered firmly. "I'll fight for you. Until the end." Jamie took a deep breath. "Promise?" "I promise." They began the custody process. It was bureaucratic, slow, and exhausting. But Michael moved heaven and earth. Witnesses, documents, interviews, even a school psychologist was involved. During this time, Jamie wrote a letter. He didn't know much about writing, but he made an effort. He showed it to Claire, who cried when she read it. "I can help you finish it if you want." Jamie smiled. "No, it has to come from me." The letter was presented to the judge as part of the process. It was short, with crooked letters. "I don't want a new dad. I just want to stay where I feel safe. Here, I learned to read. I learned to eat slowly. I learned to trust. If this isn't family, then the world is all wrong." Michael never read it aloud. He couldn't, but he kept it in a glass frame in his office. At the end of the month, the provisional custody was granted, and Jamie got a new last name, Rowan. In the simple celebration in the company's conference room, Michael raised a toast. "To the boy who saved me from death and taught me what it means to live." Jamie just smiled and murmured, "I only wanted the rest of the sandwich." Everyone laughed. Life went on. Jamie began attending a private school. He had difficulties, but he worked hard. In math, he was quick. In geography, he created more complex mental maps than his peers. Michael took him to and from school every day. Connor's old room was redesigned. Now it shared space with Jamie's drawings, his ideas, his books. But the photo of Connor remained on the nightstand, a link between two worlds. Sometimes, Michael still woke up in the middle of the night with nightmares. Sometimes he cried in secret. But now there was always a light step in the hallway, a glass of water brought with two small hands, and a whispered phrase, "I'm here." Michael knew. He still had losses that would never be repaired. But he also knew that there was life after pain. And all because on a cold, early morning someone saw in him what he couldn't see himself, and decided to stop him from jumping. The first sign came with a call from accounting. Something was wrong with the second quarter's numbers. Michael's team had reviewed everything 3 times, and they couldn't find the source of the problem. Michael plunged into the reports for 2 consecutive days. Nothing matched. It was as if someone was inflating phantom orders for clients who didn't exist. And worse, the documents looked legitimate. Jamie noticed the tension in the air. He went back to observing. Silent, attentive. He spent more time at the company than at school that week. On Wednesday afternoon, while waiting for Michael in the reception area, he saw an employee leave the copier with a blue folder. The name on top caught his attention. H. Carlisle Logistics. He had seen that name in one of the old routes. Something didn't add up. The next day, while Michael was trying to calm the board and investors, Jamie asked Claire to help him write an email. It was short and direct, sent to Michael with the title, "The Company That Only Exists on Paper." Michael read it and stopped everything. Jamie had compared the physical route reports with the digital ones. The so-called H. Carlisle Logistics didn't exist in any city records. The address listed was that of an abandoned parking lot. Michael shuddered. He immediately called IT, asked for access tracking and documents generated. In less than 24 hours, they discovered the deputy CFO, a trusted man, had been forging contracts with shell companies for at least 6 months and laundering money through non-existent freight shipments. The impact was brutal. The company nearly collapsed under negative headlines. Michael called a press conference, and for the first time, he exposed not only the mistake, but the name of the one who helped him discover it. A boy who society ignored, but who today saves companies with the eyes of someone who lived in the shadows. His name is Jamie Rowan. The media exploded. Some criticized it. They said it was sensationalism. Others cried at the video where Jamie said simply, "I just wanted to be useful, and I think I found a way." Days later, a proposal arrived by email. A university in Boston offered a special program for highly capable young people. The letter said, "Mr. Jamie has a rare profile. With the right stimulation, he could become one of the most promising minds in urban systems analysis and social logistics." Michael took the letter to Jamie. "Is this for real?" "Very real." Jamie looked down. "But do I have to leave?" "For a while, but you'll come back, and the world will know you for what you really are." "And what am I?" Michael smiled. "A gift." Jamie cried for the first time in front of him. The following week, a new crisis struck them both. During dinner, they received a call from a hospital. Jamie's biological father had been assaulted in prison and was between life and death. He had asked to see his son. Michael trembled. He didn't want to go, but he knew it wasn't his decision. "You decide, Jamie. Only you." The boy stayed silent, thoughtful. then murmured, "I'll go." They went together. The ward was silent, gray. The man in the bed was unrecognizable, hooked up to machines. Jamie went in alone. He stayed there for almost 20 minutes. When he came out, he wasn't crying, but his eyes were full. Michael hugged him in silence. "What did he say?" he asked later in the car. "He said he didn't know what love was, that he threw me away because he thought I wasn't worth anything. But now he understood that the mistake was his." Michael swallowed hard. "I said it was okay, because if he hadn't thrown me away, I would never have found you." The next morning, Jamie woke up before the sun. He put on his new clothes, grabbed his backpack, and ran his hand over the old notebooks. Michael took him to the station. On the platform, a tight silence hung between them, until Jamie took a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "This is for you." Michael opened it. It was a map, hand-drawn. It showed the city, but with red, blue, and green dots. Routes, safe places, danger zones. And at the center, a phrase, "This is where what we still have to build begins." Michael hugged him tightly. "Come back soon, okay?" "I'll come back." With more maps. Jamie got on the train, sat by the window. As it departed, he raised his hand with a smile from someone who understands the value of being remembered. Michael stood there, still, as if watching the dawn of a new world. Months later, the company grew more than ever. Michael opened a new department, Strategic Social Innovation, based on Jamie's ideas. He employed young people from disadvantaged neighborhoods in partnership with technical schools and NGOs. The impact was felt throughout the state, and on the central wall of the new wing, a phrase, "Talent doesn't arise in luxury. It arises where there is struggle." Signed, J.R. 5 years had passed. The building of Rowan & Co. now housed not only meeting rooms but also auditoriums, training centers, and an entire wing dedicated to the Segunda Chance Institute, an organization focused on homeless youth, founded with a clear purpose, to offer others what Jamie received when no one else was looking. In the entrance hall, where only the company logo once stood, now there was a mural with dozens of portraits, faces of children and teenagers who had gone through the program, each with their small story framed beside them. At the base of the mural, a phrase carved in metal, "Some boys just need to be seen to change the world." J.R. Michael walked through the halls with a serene look. His hair had grayed, but the sparkle in his eyes was the same as when Jamie called him back to life. Since the boy's departure to Boston, he had never stopped sending letters, videos, audios. Every new discovery, every difficult lesson, every achievement. Jamie was now 17. He spoke 3 languages. He presented projects on urban mobility at international conferences. But he never forgot where he came from, or who had called him a gift. In the spring of that year, Michael received an unexpected email. Subject, "I'm coming back." Email body, "Wait for me on Saturday at 6 p.m. I want to show you something, but not at the office." Michael prepared everything. That afternoon, he wore the same watch he had worn on the day he climbed the bridge. Now, the hand pointed to 5:45 p.m. He arrived early at the address indicated in the email, a simple square in the old city center. He waited on the wooden bench. The orange sky, the warm breeze, children playing in the background. At exactly 6 p.m. he heard footsteps. He turned. There was Jamie, taller with a straight posture, longer hair, but the eyes, the same. Michael stood up, smiling wide, but Jamie only raised his finger, signaling, "Wait." Next to him were 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, dirty, with torn clothes but with their eyes bright. They carried folders, worn backpacks, and old notebooks. Jamie stopped in front of Michael and said, "These are my friends. I met them on the streets. They were lost, like me. I brought them to meet you, because it all started with you." Michael felt his chest tighten. Jamie continued, "Remember when you gave me 7 days? These kids just need 5. 5 days to show that they have something inside them. I've already seen it. And you will too." Michael looked at the 3 of them. One of them, the smallest, took a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket and opened it. It was a drawing of a bus stop, with times and arrows. Michael's eyes widened. It was a proposal for reorganizing urban traffic flow, made by a child who had never been to school. "Did you do this?" The boy nodded, shy. Michael crouched down. "What's your name?" "Kevin." "Kevin, welcome. Now you have 5 days. And then, who knows, Maybe a lifetime. Jamie smiled. Later that evening, back at home, Michael opened an old box. Inside were photos of Connor, of little Jamie, the first drawings, the newspaper clippings. In the back, the letter with the phrase, "If this isn't family, then the world is all wrong." He took a new piece of paper from the drawer. He began writing something for the Institute. It was an expansion plan. More cities, more children, more invisible eyes being seen. Months later, Jamie gave his first big lecture. The auditorium was packed. In the audience were executives, educators, politicians, and boys and girls with wide eyes. He walked onto the stage calmly, took a deep breath, and said, "Once I tried to stop a man from jumping off a bridge. I just wanted the rest of his sandwich, but that day it changed everything. I got a roof, then a name, then a purpose. And now I'm here to say that if you're seeing this, you can also be seen. We're not born ready. We're born needing to be seen by someone who still believes. And if you're lucky that someone will teach you to believe in yourself." Applause. Some people cried. Others just smiled in silence. Michael watched from the first row, proud, but it wasn't the end. After the lecture, an elderly woman approached Michael. She was holding an envelope in her hands. "Is your name Michael Rowan?" "Yes." This envelope was in Dr. Parker's office. "He passed away during the pandemic, but he kept letters from old patients. I thought you should see this one." Michael opened it. He recognized the handwriting. It was from his son. "Dad, if you ever think you failed me, remember that no one teaches you how to be a father. And I know you tried. I just wanted you to forgive yourself. And if you ever find another boy out there, treat him like you would treat me. Maybe he's just waiting for that." Michael closed his eyes. The tears fell. The letter seemed to have crossed time just to confirm what he already knew. He had done exactly what Connor had wished. Years later, a special ceremony was held at City Hall. Jamie was awarded the title of Honorary Citizen of the City of Chicago for his social contributions and urban projects that reversed inequality in peripheral neighborhoods. In the final interview, they asked, "What do you feel when you look back?" He thought, smiled serenely. "I see myself there, still hungry. But now I know I wasn't just asking for a sandwich, I was asking to be seen. And someone saw me. And what do you wish for now?" "To see more." He looked at the cameras, then at Michael, sitting in the back. And he said, "Because sometimes saving someone is just a matter of noticing that they're still there."